Alright guys, let's get started today. First, like always, we're going to start with our warm-up. Our warm-up question today shows a student giving a model of a basketball spinning on their finger. And the question is asking you, how could the student make this model better? So I want you to think about it while I read these out loud. Spin the ball in different directions. Tilt the ball while it is spinning. Paint one half of the ball black and the other half white. Or shine a bright light on one side of the ball. Think about it for a second. And I'm going to count down from 5. And after 5, I want you to hold up your fingers. 1, 2, 3, or 4. 1 is A, 2 is B, 3 is C, 4 is D, so that we can talk about it. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hands up, show me. All right, so the best answer choice would have been 4. For D, shine a light on the ball. Now, we are not going to spin the ball in a different direction because we do go counterclockwise. We are not going to tilt the ball any because if you look here at the seam of the basketball, it's already tilted. We are not going to paint it half black or half white. That would be the moon. So we are going to need to add a flashlight. Okay, next step for class today. And in a second, you're going to get up and get your purple books. Don't get up yet, but you are going to get your purple book. And you are going to rip out pages 140 and pages 141. All right. The sub's going to press pause, go get your purple books, rip that out, and then put your books back in the cabinet. And when we're all settled, the sub will press play, and then we'll go over the lesson. All right, now that we are all settled, we are going to first look at page 140 today. And I'm going to zoom out for just a second so that I can set my model up for you. I'm going to use an orange to represent the sun today, a marshmallow to represent our moon, and a cookie to represent our earth. Now, our earth has water on its surface, so we're going to use blue yarn to represent our surface water. Now, from previous lessons you've had in science in the past, we know that the sun has a strong pull of gravity. We know that the earth has a pull of gravity. And we also know that the moon has a pull of gravity. When it comes to tides, the position of the moon becomes important because it's closer to us than the sun. So during tides, the moon is going to have 2/3 of a pull of gravity, and the sun's going to have, let's say, 1/3 of a pull of gravity. And that's going to affect how the water moves on the earth. So when we're in this position here, we are in a new moon. So I'm just going to label that for a second. And when we are in a new moon phase, we have a full pull of gravity coming from the sun and the moon together. And what that's going to do to the surface of the oceans is it's going to pull them like magnets. And it's going to pull that water towards the sun and the moon. And this is because water is fluid. It flows. And, well, gravity is going to affect water more than solid objects. So it's going to pull pull the water into this egg-like shape. Now, we go around the sun and the moon goes around us, but for today I'm only going to move the moon. And as the moon continues its path around the earth, the shape of the water around the earth is also going to change. So each phase is going to bring different looks of the earth in space. Notice, every time the moon goes around a phase, the water is going to change. and that's what we call tidal changes. So we have tidal changes twice every day, in the morning and twice every night in the evening. So if we have 2 in the morning and we have 2 in the evening, we have a total of 4 tides a day. We have 2 high tides and we have 2 low tides. Then we break it down monthly. Well, each month during a new moon and a full moon, our tides change and become quite stronger. And they pull more like this. This is what we call a spring tide. And it happens at the new moon and it happens at the full moon. Then, twice a month, we have what we call a neap tide. It happens at the quarter moon, and it happens also at the third quarter moon. So I'm going to move my tidal model for a second, and we are going to draw on our notes page. So I'm going to zoom in. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to put this down as the Earth. Even though we should know it's the Earth, we're just going to make sure. And then we have the sun, and I want you to write gravitational pull. And we have our moon in several different phases, which also have a gravitational pull. Now our first moon is a new moon, so we shade that in. We come around counterclockwise to our waxing crescent, counterclockwise to our first quarter, counterclockwise to our waxing gibbous, counterclockwise to our full, and then the process repeats the other direction with our waning gibbous, our third quarter, and our waning crescent. Oh, look at me, you guys. I'm doing it backwards. Hold on. Let me fix that. Now, we are not going to label every moon on this page. I want you to label this side where it says B. That's our third quarter, so put third Q. And then on the other side, where we have the point of the arrow here, this is first quarter, so first Q. All right, so I'm going to zoom back out. Let's talk about those spring and neap tides. So we're going to draw in a kind of a dotted line that forms like an egg shape around our Earth. So everybody draw in that dotted line. And then second, we're going to use more of like circle dots to represent our neap tide. So we're kind of putting in 2 pictures in one here. I want you to label the top spring tide and the bottom spring tide. And then we're going to label left and right neap tide. And neap tide. So let's talk about these for a second, because they're very different. A spring tide occurs during a new moon and a full moon, which we said well ago. It pulls the water away from the Earth in an egg shape because the gravitational pull of the moon and the sun are very strong when they're together in a straight line. So a spring tide happens when they're all lined up. Think of a spring like the ones inside of your clicky pens. When you pull them apart, you got a little spring inside, it's like stretchy. Those are straight. So spring tides go straight. Now, neap tides occur when we have 90-degree angles, which would be here and here. Now, neap tides have little change in tides because the gravitational pull of the sun and the moon aren't lined up anymore. So they're going to be what we might call weak. And we're going to talk about those in just a second. Now, on the outside of all of our moons, I want you to add kind of an extra arrow in here. And I want you to write the word normal tide. Then we're going to spin our paper. I'm going to do it at the bottom. We're going to write normal tide. And we are going to continue around the circle, writing the word normal tide. And last one. So let's talk about all these. Let's start over here on this side. If you would write the word spring over here. A spring tide happens during a new moon or a full moon. A spring tide brings us super high tides and super low tides. What that means, if a spring tide's coming in, the water is going to rise drastically high, or it's going to dip down drastically low. Now, look over, let's cross this way. If you would on this side, write neap tide. It's going to happen during a first quarter or a third quarter. And it's going to not have much change. So we're going to put not much change in tides. So these are very different. Very, very different. And we're going to watch a little video clip in a second. It's going to make more sense. Now, everywhere else that we wrote normal tide, that means you're going to have 2 regular high tides every day and 2 regular low tides every day. So no matter if it's a spring tide, a neap tide, or a normal tide, they're all going to happen twice a day. 2 high, 2 low. So actually that makes 4 tides a day. Now, a spring tide and a neap tide only occur twice monthly during the new and full, or the first and third quarter. Now you might be thinking, why on earth do I need to know what tides are? And maybe it's not going to affect you too much. One person that it might affect, though, is the fisherman or the shrimp boater or the lobster catcher. All these types of jobs that the sea would be involved in. Navy, Air Force, things like that, Coast Guard. All the people who have ships and things, this is going to affect them. And they need to know these things because if you're not watching what they call a tide calendar and you take your boat out, you potentially could get stuck somewhere. So if we're having a super low tide and you take your boat that can float in 20 feet of water and the super low tide comes in and it goes down to 2 feet of water, well, your boat's going to be beached for a couple of hours. It's going to take it like 6 hours for the tide to come back in so you can move your boat. Well, you just lost a lot of time and money. Tides are going to affect you when you go to the beach. You're going to need to know where you're going to put your pop-up tent or your chairs for the day because you don't want to be where a high tide's going to come in and wash all your stuff out into the ocean. And you also don't want to sit so far away from the beach. It's no fun. So these things are all going to come in play. Now, the sub is going to push pause, and you're going to watch a video clip that I have sent, and then we'll come back to page 141 and 142. So, press pause. After the video, push play. Alright, now that you've watched the video, hopefully you're not super confused, or maybe it cleared it up. If not, maybe a partner can help you in a second. You are going to do pages 141 and the back side of this, 142. You've got some questions you've got to answer. Here, when you're looking at this chart and it says alignment, it's either going to be the straight alignment or the 90-degree alignment. Okay, use those as your two choices. So you're going to answer through these questions. When you get done, I have my key up here, just like we always do. Come up here and grade your paper and put it in the box when you're done. After this is all completed and we finished our lesson, you are going to work on the review sheet that you picked up at the front, or I'm sorry, the CER that you picked up at front of the room, the little half page. So you're going to answer your CER. Claim, what do you think the answer is? Evidence, why do you know that's the answer? And the reason behind you picking it. After you check your CER, or after you're done, you're going to come check your CER, put it in the basket. Then you're going to do your review sheet, okay? And your review sheet is going to be super easy, you guys. I have loaded it into the Google Classroom. So you're going to get on Google, and you're just going to go through and fill in your answers. This is a daily grade. It's like the easiest one you're going to get all month. If you copyright, you get the grade. Plus, if you take it home tonight, in other words, do not turn it in. You're going to take it home tonight. You're going to get a parent or guardian to sign it, and you can get bonus points on your test when I see you next week. Now, advanced kids, when you're done, the sub is going to play a little video for you, unless we're all working. Now, if we're all still working and we're not creating havoc, then you'll keep working on your review. My on-level kids, once you're done, that would be my 7th period group. Once you're done with your review sheet, I want you to be working on your moon phases if you forgot to finish it this weekend, because that is a major grade and it's meant to be easy, so it has to be turned in before you walk out of this room today. So let's review what you're turning in. You are turning in page 141 and 142. You're going to come up here, you're going to check it and put it in the basket. You are then going to complete your CER. When you're done, you're going to come up here to my key. You're going to grade it. You're going to put it in the basket. And last, you're going to get on Google Classroom. You are going to make sure you answer every single thing on the review. No skipsies. You are going to take this home, get it signed, and return it back when I see you again Wednesday for your test. Advanced class, if everyone finishes, we'll watch a science video. On-level class, if everyone finishes, your job is to work on your poster if you didn't finish, because it is due before you leave today. All right, I hope that helped kind of clarify a few things on tides, and I'm hoping to be back with you guys when I see you again Wednesday. All right, have a great day. And the sub can stop the video now.